hubo un cambio sobre lo que pensaba yo dar. Les explico. Así como que siento que la, el repasar cuando menos una vez, pero seriado. No me refiero a una clase tras otra, o tal vez si ya ustedes digan, obras que son fundamentales en la historia de música, pero son grupos de obras. Así como me he venido refiriendo a los cuartetos para cuerdas de Beethoven, yo creo que también parte esencial de la, no lo tomen peyorativo porque además andamos muy parecidos, pero en la primaria de la apreciación musical, en donde yo también me encuentro, porque yo no soy músico, yo creo que las materias que no pueden faltar son los cuartetos de Beethoven y 12 obras de Juan Sebastián Bach, que son así, miren, por alguna razón de forma básicamente, son las 6 suites para cello, las 3 sonatas para violín y las 3 partitas, pero ese lo quiero dejar aparte. Ah, porque lo que también les ofrezco es que al ir conociendo estas obras, vamos a ir conociendo cada vez diferentes intérpretes y como todas estas obras se dividen en, tienen diferentes nombres, pero llegan a tener inclusive fugas. Bouré, son nombres más bien franceses, alemán ese es alemán, pero en francés, etcétera. Cuando menos uno o dos de los movimientos lo vamos a comparar entre dos violinistas que quiero escoger a puros icónicos. Por lo pronto, ya iremos viendo más modernos, como esta, la alemana que nos gustó mucho, creo que era Julia Fischer. Pero por lo pronto había yo pensado en los tres, en Oistrakh, Milstein y Heifetz. Ya les he dicho muchas veces que cuando le preguntaba yo a mi papá cuál era el mejor, me decía que era Oistrakh. Y le decía, no, que Heifetz. Me decía, no, Heifetz es Dios. El otro es el rey. Bueno, este Milstein, veo su documental y hasta me siento un poco como que no preparé la clase, en el sentido que estaba yo buscando qué quitarle al documental y creo que no vale la pena quitarle absolutamente nada. Sí, por favor, esténse atentos, mis gentes, a cuando haga yo señales para hacer algunos comentarios. Pero, ¿qué vamos a hacer por duración? Antes del intermedio vamos a ver completo el documental, que además tiene, Esteban me hizo favor de ponerle subtítulos en español para que todos le entendamos. Y luego un documental más largo que yo no he visto más que pequeñas escenas, pero lo que vi me pareció maravilloso y dije, pues, démonos el gusto de conocer más a fondo a Nathan Milstein, de lo que yo sé de él, que no es mucho. Eh, Como muchas historias muy cercanas a mí, ucranianos judíos perseguidos que llegaron a América o salieron de Europa y que se salvó uno de cada 10. Bueno, y con, acuérdense que ya vivieron varios años en la Unión Soviética, no en Ucrania nada más. Y entonces, a pesar de todos sus pecados, no podemos negar que la Unión Soviética, sobre todo en alguna época, eh, quizá a los músicos los tenían muy restringidos porque había música revolucionaria y música, ¿cómo le llamaban ellos? Revisionista, antirrevolucionaria. ¿Cuál era el criterio? Era un criterio muy, muy técnico. Lo que sí y lo que no le gustaba al padrecito Stalin. Entonces, digo, eso como que no acaba de pasar de moda, ¿no? Bueno, el caso es que eh, resulta que en donde sí eran maravillosos. Era en las escuelas, en los conservatorios y los intérpretes talentosísimos. Mi papá siempre me decía que la mejor escuela de violín era la de Odessa en Ucrania, ya saben, el puerto que da al Mar Negro, y el maestro, que si mal no recuerdo, de los muy, muy importantes, Leopoldo Auer, Iván Galamián. eh, pero entonces, bueno, lo poquito que yo sé ¿qué me llegó a mi papá a decirme de Milstein? Bueno, una vez que estaba en Nueva York, ya muy grande, me dice mi papá le hablé a mi papá y me dice, serías un bruto si no vas. Y fui maravilloso al Carnegie, retacado al Carnegie. Y en otra ocasión, me dijo mi papá, tú sabes que había un torero que le llamaban el ave de las tempestades, yo de toros ni sé ni me interesa, pero este, él, él me dice mi papá porque, pero era muy caganchesco, me acuerdo de la palabra. ¿Y eso qué quiere decir? Que muchas veces comete, pues es como un portero de fútbol, como el de ahorita del Manchester United, el morenito, que a veces se echa unos paradones tremendos y a veces se le van bolas pues, casi bobas o da despejes bobos. Pero cuando lo hacen bien son mejores que nadie. Y me decía, en Bach, nadie como Milstein, número uno. Número dos, él sale, oigan con qué genios, de Rusia y tocaban para sobrevivir en Berlín y en Viena, no sé ni dónde, o en varias ciudades de Europa, un trío formado, ni más ni menos que por Vladimir Horowitz, Nathan Milstein y este, con quien yo me enamoré del cello con el concierto de Dvorak, que es con lo que uno se enamora del cello, con Piatigorsky, un chelista brutal, en mi opinión muy superior, pero muy superior a Rostropovich, incluso a Casals, o sea, enorme, oigan lo que puedan con... Lástima que las grabaciones no sé qué tan bien remasterizadas estén. Creo que se llama Gregor Piatigorsky, qué cosa. Bueno, es más, creo que en una época hizo hasta un trío con Heifetz, ya viviendo en los Estados Unidos. Bueno, entonces, sin más preámbulo, empecemos, Esteban, con el documental, luego escuchamos la sonata completa con Nathan Milstein. Primero el primer documental chiquitito, la parte muy corta en la que Ivry Gitlis o Perelman, no sé quién va a hablar de Milstein. Luego el documental de Milstein, luego la sonata, y si nos da tiempo, algo comparativo de la sonata. La sonata es corta, debe durar unos 20 minutos exagerados. Ok, entonces por favor el documental primero, Esteban. Creo que hay varias partes, hay muchos, tampoco puedo dar todo en clase, pero van a ver si no les encanta, la que sea está bien, Esteban.
Sí.
Sí, muy bien. Me hice bolas porque es el final del Tchaikovsky, oigan. Y luego sigue Milstein.
Sometimes I think that's so silly for a grown-up person to come out on the stage and scratch the violin. Really, I mean it. That's serious what they're saying.
That's what he says, but Nathan Milstein doesn't mean it. He's been playing for more than 60 years and is one of the supreme violinists of our age, a master of his instrument.
nobody had the kind of concept of cleanliness of articulation that Milstein did. And he was absolutely, it was as intense as Elman was about tone. That's how intense Milstein was about articulation and cleanliness of between the notes.
Parce que lui, il passait tout son temps à chercher tout le temps. Chaque fois que je venais chez lui à la maison, je disais, tu sais, j'ai trouvé ça, regarde, ce nouveau truc là, etc. Tout le temps, il cherchait. C'était comme un petit, un horloger.
With him, it was a way of life. With him, it was, give me the fiddle and I'll just play it all the time. I'll just play it all the time. All the time, I'll doodle, practice, doodle, do little things, investigate, try and see, let me see which passage, which fingering I should use that make the passage sound cleaner, it's more articulated.
All the time he used all kinds of tricks, all new things. Like, you would come, I would come to his house. At one time he lived in Paris for several months. We saw each other practically every night, every day, I'd come here, I just found this.
That's it. Circus poker or something. Not at all, not at all. It's a military band passing the street in the small village. Let's go home.
Well, you could not love him if you knew him. I mean, he was, I don't know, I see there a little sign here, I don't know why, but it says perfect. He was.
And he was absolutely nonchalant, that was a cool character when it came to playing the violin.
Moi, je ne sais pas ce que ça veut dire difficile. Quand on joue, on sait jouer, on ne peut pas jouer. Je ne peux pas penser à ce que je fais. Si on commence à penser à ce qu'on doit faire...
You are Jewish yourself,
Yes,
aren't you?
yes.
Why do Jewish musicians, why do they make good executive musicians, performers?
I know many Jewish musicians that are not good.
Yes, but apart from Mendelssohn, there haven't been
I
any...
don't think it has to do with the race in that respect.
You don't?
It's only conditioning, I think. I think it's more the social background that made some Jews take to the violin or piano.
Why did you leave Russia?
Why I left Russia?
Because you didn't leave till 1925, did you?
25, yes, I left because, many people, they go, I could leave, and I left. I went to play and study, and then I didn't come back.
He, Horowitz, and Piatigorsky, three young urchins from Russia, in 1924 left Russia and went to, I think they went to Berlin first, and they used to play apparently in cafe and things like that, in, I don't know, bordellos, I don't know what, to earn the living. You know, and they came out with a friend of theirs who was called Meyrovich, who was their manager, so to say, you know. You know, imagine what a trio that was, kind of thing, you know. Horowitz, Vladimir Gorovitz, Gregor Piatigorsky, and Nathan Milstein.
Were you actually a child prodigy? You played the Glazunov at a very early age.
But I couldn't be prodigy because it wasn't good, I'm sure. The prodigy is supposed to play well. I'm sure I didn't play well.
Mira, desgraciadamente ya vi que el documental dura prácticamente una hora y ya no nos daría tiempo. Entonces, ponte el documental, el de que dice Milstein, maestro de la inventiva, y luego lo seguimos o lo siguen viendo, porque no quiero que nos vayamos sin escuchar completa la sonata y creo que vale la pena mucho más que oigan a la sonata que a su servidor. Entonces, por favor.
I'm not normal human being. If I would be, I would not be practicing violin, I would be do something else.
It's no use practicing too much. First you have to find out how to do it the best.
You have to be able to invent ways of doing it better.
somebody doesn't know what invention means, is to stop violin playing. You can't explain everything. Howard didn't explain to me.
This is a story of one of the finest violinists of the 20th century, Natan Mironovich Milstein, who was born in Odessa on the Black Sea in 1903, and whose boisterous spirits landed him in so much trouble that at the age of 7, his mother thrust a violin into his hands to keep him out of mischief and took him to Pyotr Stolyarsky for lessons. With Stolyarsky, he made such astonishing progress in 4 years that at the age of 11, his mother took him from Odessa to St. Petersburg, to the class of the legendary Leopold Auer, where he made quite an impression.
There are many pupils. Some of them were famous, eventually became famous, like Yasha Haypets, Polyakin, Zeidel. And after I finished, and he says, addressing to the pupils, he says, well, how do you like that Black Sea technique, Chernomorskaya technika?
72 years later, at his last public recital, his playing retained the same arresting freshness and astonishing accuracy that so impressed Leopold Auer in 1914. No other violinist in the 20th century has been able to play like this at the age of 82.
And after I finished addressing to the pupils, he says, well, how do you like that Black Sea technique, Chernomorskaya technika? I don't remember what people answered.
Whatever the answer, the word went around that Auer was so stunned that he fainted, and the rumor was to have interesting consequences for the Milstein family.
I supposedly made an extraordinary impression, it's not true, on Auer, that Auer fainted. There was some correspondent in conservatory who said, what's new? And they told him that there was a Russian played and Auer fainted. It's not true. And that was very disturbing for Glazunov, who is the director of conservatory. And he asked my mother and myself to come to his cabinet. And he said, you know, Mrs. Milstein, it's not done like that. It's not supposed to. My mother was not responsible that somebody wrote that he fainted. Anyway, he felt guilty that he offended a lady. And he said, Mrs. Milstein, bring your son to the orchestra pit. You can't go in the opera because it's all for imperial family and corps diplomatique. And I was, for me, for Russians, Tsar was like next to God. And of course I was thrilled when I saw that. And then comes Boris Godunov. Shalapin falls on his knees, and he said all the coronations sin for the Russian Tsar on knees. That's how I came, because Glazunov asked me to come.
And what impression did it make on you?
I was almost sick for 10 days. At that time, people didn't imagine that's possible. Emotion can disturb you so much.
And so he discovered his artistic sensitivity and a passion for music that has lasted until this day. Among the great performers, the story is not uncommon, except that in Natan Milstein's case, it was not an instrument that so impressed him, but the music of Mussorgsky, and above all, the performance of Shaliapin as Boris. In fact, until that moment, Natan Milstein had been a rather reluctant student of the violin, at the watchful insistence of his mother.
She insisted. She didn't come with a revolver. She didn't force that way. She simply insisted. And he insisted her mother at that time means she will win. I wouldn't win at all. She wanted me to play violin, and I succumbed to it. I don't mind much. It didn't do any harm to me.
There was not much to mind about. At the age of 11, Natan Milstein opened his ears to music, his eyes to the glories of St. Petersburg, found himself in company with Jascha Heifetz and several other notable talents in the violin class of Leopold Auer, the foremost teacher of his time. And all of this under the loving care of an intelligent and devoted mother.
Because my mother made me play violin and she went with me to St. Petersburg, abandoned the family, 7 children, 6 children without me. Can you imagine? I loved her for that. But not because of violin. I didn't like so much violin. But after I went to St. Petersburg, I was attracted because there's so many other violinists playing much better than I, and that they attracted me. I tried to imitate them.
It was not long before the rest of the class was trying to imitate Natan Milstein, whose talent and application had a sure-footedness about them that was in time to win the admiration of most of the great performers of the 20th century.
I used to go to the conservatory at Nihach, because already when I was at St. Petersburg, it always was snow. Wonderful. Snow is crisp, and the color of the snow was sometimes like a pearl. Yellow, green, pink, wonderful. That was beautiful. And the St. Petersburg, beautiful forests. They're all white birch. You know, birch that, when the light, sunshine comes through the forest, beautiful. And the wonderful part was our class, knowing that he's a famous man, not only because he did something, and he was old. I used to respect very old.
In Auer's class, he met and competed with the best young violinists in St. Petersburg. But one day he encountered a young pianist, and it led to a dramatic turning point in his life and career. A young Vladimir Horowitz was brought by one of his teachers to Natan Milstein's first concert in Kiev.
At my concert in Kiev, near Chernobyl, I played there. Horowitz came with his sister, and they invited me to next day for tea, his family. And I came next day, we had tea, and I stayed for 3 years in their house. You know me, the men that came to dinner. I came to tea, stayed 3 years. But Horowitz impressed me with extraordinary knowledge of all operatic music. He played Wagner, played Rimsky-Korsakov, Wagner, Siegfried, when Siegfried sharpens his sword. Pam, 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 pam. Beautiful. And he, the Coq d'Or, Rimsky-Korsakov, he arranged for piano without writing. He played. I couldn't believe it.
And so began a friendship that would last a lifetime, and a youthful partnership that took them on many a tour of the new Soviet Union and earned them the title Children of the Revolution.
When we were called Children of the Soviet Revolution, every Ministry of Art in every city had a committee that helped us to give concerts. And we used to take the money from the public, and the expenses were paid by the government. It was very comfortable.
They enjoyed themselves, travelled far and wide, and caused a great stir. But not all of their experiences were so comfortable.
There was a kind of a funny man. He had golden hair, in a toga with wooden shoes. Obviously, he was a communist, but he thought that workers need great music. And he arranged a concert near Rostov, where the factory was cigarette factory, 20,000 workers. I supposed to play Bach, and Horowitz played Liszt. And of course, it was big ado. And he, Mr. Abrahamov, he talked about Bach, polyphonic music, about fuga. Can you imagine? To 20,000 workers. And he said, that's wonderful music. That's now you can enjoy that music. Before you couldn't. And there were many shoeshine people, boys. Those shoeshine boys, they didn't mix words. If they didn't like something, they would say that. And I started to play after he talked for an hour. They tolerated his talking because they thought Volodya and I will come start to make some very gay music. And when I started to play Bach after 2 minutes of playing, they said Butku. It means go away. Not the workers. The workers were always shy, but those shy, shoe shy, they were not shy. When they said go away, the workers helped him. And then Abrahamov came on the stage and said, look, you not grateful, you know, we give you great music, you know, before the capitalists only enjoy that Bach, and be quiet. And he went, I came back to the stage, played again, continued Bach. Even less than 3 minutes, they started to say Butku again, go away. Of course, I left, and Mr. Abrahamov with the golden hair came on stage. He started to scold them. He said, look, you should be ashamed of yourself. When the capitalists, they enjoy that music, and they very difficult to understand. I understand that it's very difficult, but you have to try to be. He said, if somebody doesn't want to listen. They should not spoil other people's pleasure. If you want to go, go away, but don't be quiet. I start to play, started again. And he said, I told you if you want to go away, you go, but don't make noises. Yes, Mr. Abramov, we want to go away, but all the doors are closed.
An inauspicious start for the children of the Soviet Revolution. But the music of Bach remained an abiding passion. And while still in his teens, he played all of Bach's music for violin and learned most of it by heart. Soon, his apparently effortless and strikingly seamless playing of Bach became a source of wonder for contemporary musicians. And then, one day, Sergei Rachmaninoff heard him play the E major Bach partita and was so impressed that he arranged 3 of the movements for piano for a recital in the Salle Pleyel in Paris, and to which he invited Nathan Milstein.
And he made 3 pieces from the partita for the piano. And eventually I heard them. When he invited me to his concert, he played in Salle Pleyel in Paris for the benefit of the immigrants. And he said, Mr. Milstein, listen to how do you like it? And I told him after the concert, I like everything except that chromatic sequence, which is not good for Bach. And he told me, go to hell. I have always, like, everybody sent me to hell. And I was very upset, not only because Rachmaninoff was upset, because after concert there was a reception at his daughter's in Paris, supper, and I'm sure that I couldn't go anymore. But Natalia Alexandrovna, his wife, was Natalia Mironovich, don't pay attention. And he was nervous. You come with us. And I went up to the concert. And there were 4 composers, Glazunov, Gretchaninov, Konius, and Metner, all great musicians. We sit, and he says, first thing he says, Sasha Glazunov, did you hear in the Bach some chromatic sequence? Glazunov didn't think, he probably didn't listen even. He was more thinking about his wine and beer he will have at dinner. And that was probably everybody, Gretchaninov, Metner, and Konius. I was the only one that heard it. I was upset because I thought maybe it was my bad taste. Do. Not good. And no for Bach. He was not satisfied, but I left, of course, but I still had my Russian cutlet and a little vodka. And next morning, I went to my newspaper. And coming back, he said, Mr. Milstein, Mr. Rachmaninoff would like to see you now. And I was boring. Maybe he sent me to not to hell, to something else. I got up, opened the door. He looked too bashfully, not daring to go in. He says, Natan Mironovich, come, vous avez raison. You are right, Vous avez raison, je fais ça. There are many occasions he said, Vladimir Semyonovich, because something happened with Horowitz. And Horowitz says, no, I don't believe it. The Rachmaninoff says, no, Mr. Horowitz, I have a good experience with Mr. Milstein. He has a good ear. That's all.
So were you happier then?
Happier, but I could live then.
Tell us about the time when you played fake Malipiero for him.
I did write in the book.
Yes.
I used to go with Pisigorsky very often, Horowitz, to him for tea. And at this time we went with Pisigorsky alone. And we tried to make jokes. With Pisigorsky, we decided we make a duo for cello and violin by some composer, Malipiero. He knew that Malipiero is a kind of futurist. Now it doesn't sound like that. And we arranged so that he starts in the cadenza and I start in the cadenza. And Rachmaninoff was very interested to listen because it was not bad.
Were you improvising?
No. We had the basis how to do it. Start a team and then I play and the improvisation and then the cadenza. But after the cadenza I come again and I go high. Then I go high, I don't know what to do. I start making trills. I laughed myself and we burst laughing, both of them. And he left. He knew it's a joke. Because it's not a question of humor. We took him for a ride.
He was offended?
Obviously. He didn't come back for dinner. We didn't mean it. It was a joke, musical joke.
Happily, the friendship survived the joke, because their relationship with Rachmaninoff was something of great importance to the 3 Russian émigrés, who had now come to be known as the 3 Musketeers.
Horowitz and Pisigorsky and I used to go very often to Rachmaninoff villa in Hertenstein, near Lucerne. And sometimes Pichigorsky and I went. On this occasion, Pichigorsky and we were going for tea to Rachmaninoff. In Rachmaninoff, after lunch, used to sleep, like I do now. And not now, at this moment. And Pichigorsky, he arrived there, I arrived, I took out the violin from the case. Pichigorsky took the cello, and we saw music. It was Bacalise, famous for the voice. And Pichigorsky took the violin, standing up between the legs, and I standing up, of course. And we played octave unison. You know that piece. And obviously, Rachmaninoff was rested, slept, and he comes out in a pyjama with hair like this. And he played the piano part. And also, when we finished, we couldn't see him, he left immediately. Then later on, I went to America. There was his friend, our friend, Alexander Greiner. He used to be giving away Steinway pianos for performing artists. And he said, Natan Mironovich, что вы сделали? What did you make Rachmaninoff cry? Every time he tell me that story, he cried.
So you mean he came in when you were playing, he joined you, he said, and he went out all without saying anything?
Standing up, finished without a word. He went back. It's a really very touching story because that was really touching. We played very well. You see, that's how I think supposedly gifted people can do. We never rehearsed. You somehow adjust yourself to the music. If somebody is talented, one talent to the other talent.
The exceptional musical affinity with Grigor Piatigorsky was matched in the warmth of the personal relationship, which was one of enduring value for both men. But then Natan Milstein is not only respected by all of his colleagues, but also genuinely liked by almost all of them. From Leopold Auer and Sergei Rachmaninoff to Fritz Kreisler and Pinchas Zuckerman.
Miren, está fantástico el documental. Continúenlo viendo, por favor. Cintia, mande el dato y ponga el documental completo en nuestras redes. Aunque no es de mis directores favoritos, pero para nada, porque no le entiendo a su interpretación. Tiene una serie que se llama Keeping Score. Él es Michael Tilson Thomas, pero tiene muy buenas clases didácticas. Les recomiendo la de Mahler. Tienen los documentales, por ejemplo, yo nunca había visto ningún documental, película del pueblo, creo que en Bohemia o en Moravia, creo que en Moravia, en la parte este de la República Checa donde nace Mahler. Entonces, estos documentales son maravillosos, pero vamos a hacer un intermedio y nos vamos a dar el gusto de oír con Milstein, puro Bach, y posteriormente, pues yo creo que con Oistrakh, para efectos comparativos, una sola de las áreas que más nos guste. Entonces, prepárense para esta maravilla, ya se dieron cuenta. Nada más antes les hago unos comentarios. Bueno, habla de compositores y músicos rusos. Al único que yo identifiqué, qué falta de ignorancia, diría Cantinflas, fue solo a Heifetz. Yo creo que yo escuché la única vez en mi vida a Natan Milstein, más o menos a la edad de este documental, y era un hombre muy grande. Luego, cuando él dice que se enamora de la música, no sé si a todos ya saben quién es Fodor Chaliapin. Se supone que es el mejor bajo de la historia, un gigantón ruso. Era, hagan de cuenta, el Rasputín de la música, y era, hagan de cuenta, lo que equivaldría a Marta Argerich en mujer, o a Carlos Kleiber también, caprichosos como genios. Entonces Chaliapin le tenían que rogar que no cancelara el concierto y así, pero en especial en una obra que no hemos visto y que honestamente no conozco como debiera, que yo creo que es la ópera rusa más importante, y no estoy hablando de Eugenio Onegin, de Tchaikovsky, ni mucho menos, es Boris Godunov, que existió Boris Godunov, es un zar, si mal no recuerdo. Eh, es una ópera de Mussorgsky, Modesto Mussorgsky, que muere muy joven de borracho, tristemente, pero he oído pequeñas áreas y con Charlie Pinson. Entonces creo que, aunque no estamos tan acostumbrados al sonido ruso, que para mí es un idioma que se oye muy bello, pero yo creo que vale la pena en una de estas, y si la siento demasiada pesada, pues escogeré algunas áreas, quizá por allí habría que empezar. Pero tampoco es algo que les digo, es que esto es inagotable, no podemos abandonar el Boris Godunov, y menos con Chalviapi. Glazunov, ya que habla tanto de Glazunov, bueno, hay un muy famoso, a mi papá le gustaba mucho, a mí la verdad no, el concierto para violín de Glazunov, lo siento un poquito dulzón, pero era un hombre todopoderoso en la música rusa. Eh, bueno, y miren, si se dan cuenta, y esto me encantó de Milstein, esa falta de soberbia siendo verdaderamente tan importante, pues habla de su inteligencia, ni más ni menos, ¿no? Qué maravilla que haya gentes así, que a pesar de su grandeza no se les sube a la cabeza. Luego, suerte de conocer San Petersburgo a los 18 años, y sí es una ciudad impresionante. Rapidísimo, la historia es que cuando quiere occidentalizar y modernizar Rusia, el gran zar Pedro el Grande crea una ciudad, se va a estudiar a los astilleros alemanes para aprender a hacer barcos, y trae costumbres europeas, entre ellas la más importante. Los rusos se morían de hambre todos los inviernos, y entonces Pedro Grande llevó de Perú, y que pasó luego por Europa, y ahí se enteró porque él no llegó a Perú, les llevó la papa, pero resulta que algunos sacerdotes ortodoxos decían que la papa era un alimento del diablo, no les convenía que el pueblo estuviera mejor alimentado. Pues ni tardo ni perezoso mandaba a matar a los que lo decían o a los que no comían papas. Eh, Me gustó también que no sea un judío prejuicioso contra Wagner, me parece también un hombre inteligente. Vaya que él, mucho más que otros, tendría razones para estar, para que no le gustara a Wagner por razones políticas. Eh, yo diría que en Bach, por lo que están diciendo y por lo que se oye, por lo que oí más que por otra cosa, miren, hay gente que es devota de Bach y que consagra su vida a Bach. Imagínense qué compositor. Es, yo diría, así como Glenn Gould en el piano o Carl Richter en general. Y hay varios, inclusive Harnoncourt, ya más reciente en el violín sharing, pero hay gente bajiana, pero a él lo siento en el violín a la altura de Glenn Gould en el piano, como un auténtico eh, bajiano.